to the Drew Sutton Leadership Show, lighting the way with real leaders, real stories, and real impacts. Because when leaders stop growing, the darkness wins. All right, welcome back to another amazing episode of the Drew Sutton Leadership Show. Today we're answering the question, what if the real engine of corporate innovation isn't inside the companies at all, but rather it's inside the networks connecting them? Most corporations can't innovate at the speed of AI, and that's going to be a big problem. They're too slow, they're too risk averse, and they're too siloed. Meanwhile, startups are moving fast, but often in the wrong direction. So what actually works? Well, today's guest, Ruth Arazi Sheffer, is an innovation strategist and ecosystem builder who previously worked on Seagate's Israel Innovation Center, connecting global corporations with emerging startups. She's co-founded Supersonas Israel, helping women break through the glass ceiling in leadership. And now she's building GIN, the Global Innovation Network, bringing leaders from companies like Google, Microsoft, and Porsche together to collaborate at the speed of AI. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Ruth.
Hey, Drew. Thank you. I like the clapping. Thank you.
Cool. So we got put together by Brian Wallace. We're both kind of in the innovation space. One of the cool things, Israel's in the news for this and that these days, but one of the really cool things that Israel brings to the world is its innovation culture. And I think a lot of people don't really appreciate how deep that is, and how it's really kind of the driving force behind a lot of the modern technology. It's been in circuit boards, ag tech, and cybersecurity. What is your favorite innovation that's got your eye open these days?
Well, first of all, I just want to make a small correction. So it's Naftali Dretman who connected us. But let me tell you a little story about how I began to work at Seagate's Innovation Center. So I didn't come from the corporate world. I came from an entrepreneurial background, and I was asked by a friend to help set. And the launch was actually kind of like a party, a 2-day party where the executives from Seagate came to Israel and did the opening ceremony for a business unit called an Innovation Center. I had no idea what that meant. And when I started diving deeper into the world of innovation, I learned that, first of all, a lot of global companies set foot in Israel because of the proximity to the ecosystem. We have a lot of startups that happen there, but we're not close to the market. So major companies just set foot, have an office in Israel. Some of them have different KPIs, like some of them acquire companies for the R&D, for buying the technologies, for buying the human resource. Others just do POCs, do proof of concepts. So they find challenges inside the corporations and they connect to the startups, do a pilot, see if they work. So when I started working on the launch, and I learned that we were like Innovation Center number 380 something. We weren't even it was a huge ecosystem of its own. And apparently it's working.
Apparently it's working. No, I love that. I've been coaching entrepreneurs and startups for over a decade now. And some of the sharpest people that you can run into, and most passionate people, and they're getting to live, literally their best life as they're wrestling and they're struggling with these problems. But I find that they're often 10 degrees off of useful. In other words, they have their problem set that they're focusing on, and they haven't really there's this is where the actual problem is, but they're focused right here. And it's hard sometimes to tell them, hey, have you considered this market niche? But the Innovation Center seems to be solving that because it's kind of placing the problems out there in front of them. What do you think would really improve startups' ability to get a pulse on the market a little quicker in their development cycle?
First of all, there's one word that I think everybody should take on, and that's to listen. Sometimes people fall in love with their technology, but they don't listen to people who actually need to solve these challenges. I would say that most of the startups really, really want the connection to corporates. And corporates need the technologies, but the pace is different. The bandwidth is different. So startups need to work really fast. They don't have the budget to, or the time to take the same way that corporations do. And the Innovation Center facilitates that. I mean, if it does a good job, then it helps you as a connector make that relationship work. The corporation and the startups come from different worlds. And there are a lot of gatekeepers in corporations. You need access to data, you need legal, finance,
Yeah.
and you need a sponsor. And I have to say that usually it worked best when the problem came from the corporation and not vice versa. So when startups would approach us, the chances of it working was slim unless it was a bingo. I don't know.
Yeah. So worry about something that worked out. It could be a proof of concept. It could be something that actually made it into production. What's one of the flagships that when you look back on it, you're like, yes, this is why we do what we do.
Well, I won't go into detail,
Right.
but there was a startup. These are such talented people, you know?
Mm.
And it was just an introduction that was made to me over a dinner. And I reached out to the right person at Seagate, which is also difficult because these corporations, like, they're so big. You have to you have to reach the right person who has the same problem. So everything worked. And it was actually something that solved an issue in manufacturing. And not only did the POC work, but also in the middle of the POC, they were acquired by another company. So they did an exit startup. And we continued with licenses with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I grew up in corporate America. That was my starting base, and now I'm in the entrepreneur world. I'm on and what I some of the translation problem that I see is that the corporations know what their problems are. So, for instance, when I was at Bell Helicopter, my entire life was helicopters, and not just helicopters, specifically the rotor system. I spent my entire life looking at my competitors, looking at our innovation lab, looking at we call it the Shake Shack. That's where we would test the things out. So that was my whole world. I knew more about helicopter rotor systems than than almost anybody in the world. I mean, there's probably, a community of maybe 100 people that were my peers on the face of the planet. Um, but then we had a group come in with their new technology. It was kind of like Glad zipware where like you like clicks in, and then once you hear the click, you know that it's bonded correctly. It was an okay technology. I actually pushed against it because I said, listen, if we use their technology, then what am I doing in life? And so I was the antagonist of a halfway decent technology. I still there's a couple of technical spots that I'm still kind of like, I don't know if that's going to work, but I really more did it out of trying to protect my career. Have you seen that? And then how can folks in corporate and in the startup world overcome that kind of natural bias between the two tribes?
You know, it sounds like the classic story of kind of like Kodak. You know how they talk about that someone came in with a solution for digital cameras and nobody listened. But also, I have to say that this antagonism or objection comes a lot with AI because people know they will be replaced.
Mm,
And I don't think it's been figured out, but I don't think there is a way. I think people now understand that they can't fight it. They have to go with the flow and maybe learn it deeper and learn to work with it. And the whole structure of work is going to change, I guess. So, and also I want to say something else in corporate. in the
Yeah.
corporate world, in the hierarchy world, if someone from the top is the sponsor of a solution, it won't help that the expert will say that it works or it doesn't work, or it's interesting or not interesting.
This is true. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. No, and so I think this is a great segue into what you're building now, which is Gin. Let me pull up the website here for the banner, but talk to us. You had a moment sometime when you said we need to create this global innovation network. And it crosses the boundaries of nations, it crosses the boundaries of corporations, it crosses the ego boundaries. But I think it's really important in the AI world that we're living in today.
Yeah.
When was the before you tell us exactly what it's about, tell us the moment where you said, I need to start this.
Okay, so I have to admit that I didn't start it with a global mindset. I started it 7 years ago when I started working at the Innovation Center, doing business development, and it was my first corporate job. And I was thinking, how can I do my job better? My role was to find solutions for challenges. My role was to connect people. My role was to bring value. And I had a conversation with someone who's now my friend, who manages the Innovation Center at Volkswagen in Israel. And I asked her how she does her job better. And she said that she has multipliers. And I asked her, what are multipliers? And she said, oh, these are colleagues, friends from VCs, from other innovation centers, from banks. And
Mhm.
I reach out to them and I tell them that I look for X, Y, Z, and they help me. And at the same time, I met another friend who was at the Innovation Center at EY. And I told him, let's start a group. Let's start a WhatsApp group. And we started a WhatsApp group that grew organically and now has about 400 people from, I would say, the largest companies in the world, all looking for technologies. And it's a WhatsApp group that has professional conversations in it on a daily basis. They talk about scouting for technologies, looking for connections to specific people. And once every month or other months, we have an actual physical or virtual event about a topic that is interesting for these people, for that sort of audience. And about a year ago, I started running this idea in my head that if it works on a local scale, it'll definitely work on a global scale and bring a lot of value. Working in silos is something that needs to be solved, and I don't think it's an industry-specific concept. So cross-industry solutions, these people can benefit from very much. I'm a big believer. And I want to say that there are 3 topics that are interesting to this audience. One is scouting for technologies. The other is learning about processes, how to do the POC better, how to improve, how to do the relationship between startup and corporation better. And the third thing is people, networking.
This is I think this is why Neftali put us together. Neftali and I are working on a project called Innovate. It's a global conference we've done for the last 3 years. But the premise of the conference is that when you put great people together, great things happen. And that's we phrase it differently sometimes, but that's really what we're saying is there was a time before mass media and before the internet and before the world was flat when really amazing people knew and trusted each other, and that's how cool stuff got done. Which is what you just said. That some of your peers and mentors said, I get a force multiplier. I get other people involved in the problem. And it doesn't mean that I'm sharing our proprietary secrets. It means that I'm creating an authentic data source, maybe, of real people that know what's meaningful and what's just hype. What is your what are some of the cool relationships that have come out of Jen? I guess maybe first, how old is Jen?
Jen is new. Jen is so new that it's just in the works. I call the WhatsApp group that I had, which is named Innovation Hunters, my POC. And I've done a 7-year POC. So I feel like I'm already I'm already mature in the field, but Gin as a global network is new. And I want to give you an example of something that happened at Seagate.
Yeah, please.
There was something in the manufacturing that needed to be discussed. A solution that we thought could be suitable for the manufacturing sites. And we did a roundtable with the same stakeholders from Seagate, Johnson & Johnson, Coca-Cola, HP, and another company, I don't remember which one. And we all had the same issue. And we all talked about the same things. And I think the magical thing is that people like to be givers as much as they like to be takers. They like to help each other, especially in the age of AI, especially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You
I
can
called
learn so
the
much from each other.
Yeah, I called the AI trust cliff. So,
Mm.
in the days, social media was really cool for about like maybe 3 years, and then it became to be commercialized,
Yeah.
heavily commercialized. And so you're in a you get into this echo chamber, and we all talk about the algorithm, and it's hard to distinguish what is it sending me because it thinks I want it, and what is actually news, what is actually something that's meaningful, or what's the signal and the noise, as we say. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
call it filter the noise. Yeah.
AI is just going to make that worse because now AI is going to make, I don't know, you can kind of read marketing stuff, and once you read enough of it, you're like, that's just hype. That's not, there's no nugget in that one. Let's move on. But AI is going to make that harder and harder. And from a prospecting perspective, AI can narrow in on individual people easier and easier. And so, you know, it's coming for the jobs, but it's also coming for the relationships. And I think that the real movers and shakers in the world are going to be like, yep, that's nice, and they're going to just kind of ignore it. Like, we don't even answer our phones anymore. If I don't recognize your number, I'm not answering the phone. And most of my friends are that way. And I think AI is just going to make that for real. And so what I love is that your network is already in place. It's already curated with a bunch of high value people, which is something that somebody might want to leverage. We'll just say leverage, add less value than they take from it, or take more value than they add to it. But you have this very cool, robust network. Um, what are some things that you do to maintain those authentic relationships?
Well, I think the conversations we have to hear what other people are interested in, to be connectors. Like if I had a conversation with Naftali and he introduced me to you, and these opportunities come by because of other people, because
Mm,
people actually like to help, like to open doors, and there's just so much value you can get from speaking. I don't think these corporation executives will talk about their core business issues, but they will talk about everything else. And there's so much going on. I just think that, especially in the age where there are some topics that are relevant to just everyone, they're across all verticals, whether it's sustainability or AI, which
mhm.
is a very vague and large word, but
Right, right.
it needs to be implemented inside companies.
So, what are some of the most stimulating conversations that are coming out of your network these days for you? What are the things that you've grabbed a hold of and you said, man, that is really cutting edge. That is really interesting. What are some of the things that interest you most out of the Gin network right now?
Wow, that's a tough question because we're just starting out. Okay, so uh, it's hard for me to answer that, but I think it's also part of the charm of the community is the fact that it's a closed community and people talk within themselves and they feel like they're able to speak freely.
Hmm.
And also, it's very professional. You don't talk about the weather. You don't talk about birthdays. You talk about doing your job better and improving and learning.
I like it. Um, so for me, one of the things that I'm kind of noodling on right now is Have you personally got into Lovable or Base 44, any of the
Um,
AI coding devices?
just on the very high level, and not like I didn't develop anything yet.
Yeah.
It's on my to-do list.
Well, so I put in $50, which is a remarkably low
To
number, right?
which platform?
Say again.
Which platform? To
Uh, I
base
did
44?
I, I did $25 to Base 44, which is like just the 1 month base level subscription, and then $25 to Lovable because I really wanted to compare the two and fiddle with them both. And so I basically made the same app in both apps just to see how they play
Mm.
around. And total of maybe 8 hours of fiddling. Um, I think 4 hours in one of them and 2 hours in the other one, and $50. And I made a pretty functional app. Now, it's not cyber hardened and it doesn't have the right admin access, right? It's not a hardened app yet. However, when I mean, like I said, I've been coaching entrepreneurs for the last decade now, and it takes, you know, a month or two to get a decent app coded just for an MVP, just for a proof of concept. Whereas now I have an MVP that I've shopped around to a couple of folks, and I literally made it in like an evening. It's stunning how fast you can do it. And so for me, the question that I'm kind of wrestling with right now is the barrier to decent app functionality is not a team of 12 people and 18 months. It's a team of two people, Claude code, and less than a month. And what does that mean for our corporations? Does it make sense for us to do all of our app development in-house, or does SaaS still make sense? Anyway, these are kind of the AI questions that have got me interested. Do you have anything that's really pulling on the back of your mind with AI or with any other stuff that you're in touch with?
I don't have a story for that one, but I do know that Base 44 was developed by one person, by the way. It's a
Oh, was
one-person
it really?
company, yes, and I think he was acquired after less than a year. He still sits in a co-working space in Tel Aviv.
I
Yeah,
had no idea, but that makes total sense. That's
yeah.
crazy.
So, um, look, it's an interesting question, and I think the pace of corporations is a bit slower, and they won't allow something external to be, developed so fast. But they do need to catch up on the pace, and that even shows you even more why we have to learn from each other.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. We're kind of running out of time on the show here. I'm going to give you the last couple of minutes just to talk to the audience. Tell us why we should get involved in Gen. Tell us what gets you motivated. Why you get up and are working on this project. Floor is to you.
Well, I just want to say that I feel like in the age where technology, and there's so much noise out there,
Mm,
then connecting and being in touch with other people gives a lot of value. And I hope this networking platform will make an actual impact. And maybe I'll end with an African proverb. You probably know it, that if you go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I believe in it. And after my 7-year POC on gin,
yeah,
I believe in the value it gives to the people.
I love it. Well, listen, if you're on the show right now and you are an executive leader, if you've got a team, if you're on the startup side of things, you know the pain of trying to get through the gatekeepers and find the signal in the noise. And the signal is not always a new technology. In fact, most of the time, it's the problems that you're facing and the people that know how to solve that problem. And then you have peers that are also wrestling with the same thing. The Global Innovation Network is a fantastic opportunity to connect with Ruth's personal network that spans just an amazing wealth of companies, an amazing wealth of contacts who are wrestling with the actual cutting edge solutions that are probably going to solve your problems. Finding deals, finding technology that makes sense is a very difficult thing if you're in the corporate world. Finding the problems that are at scale that need to be solved are very difficult things to do if you are a startup. And the Global Innovation Network is an amazing opportunity for authentic folks like you, like me, like Ruth, to connect and begin sharing the problems and sharing the solutions that we're discovering. Because in the AI trust cliff, it's human connections are going to be more important than ever. So with that, reach out to Ruth. She's got something special for you. Fill out her application. Here's the website, Gin with a G, GIN dash
Gin for
global.
global.
Yeah, ginglobal.com. And then if you want to find them on LinkedIn, here they are. I've already posted these in the comments. Here is Ruth's LinkedIn network. Tell her that you saw her on the Drew Sutton Leadership. Make a connection with her, and let's all discover what this next era of business has for us. So
Drew, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I appreciate the floor. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for being on the show. All right, we will catch you all later. Bye.